Today I'm going to show you something that's not Belizean. I'm going to show you how I make my lasagna. You're watching the Bear Pantry Show. So this is what I do when I make my lasagna. First of all, I get a big pot. I put it on the biggest burner on the stove. I put half the pot with water, and we're going to bring this to a boil. Well, I don't put any salt or anything in this to make it come to a boil more quickly, because you know how I feel about salt. I try not to put too much. So we're just going to wait till this is boiling, then we're going to put the noodles in. In the meantime, let me get my other burner going with the ground beef. So what I did here was I got a smaller pot, and I put 1 pound of ground beef. You know how it comes in the tube. And I'm just going to allow it to brown. I'm going to use my potato masher. You know, I use this for everything with ground beef. And I'm going to kind of break it up while it's getting brown. But I don't want it to break up too fine like when we did the meat pies, okay? Because we want little chunks of the meat to show up in our lasagna. So this is all I'm going to do while it's browning. Just kind of get it to break up. You see, this is all I'm doing. Kind of get it cleaned off of the masher, because you want pieces. You can do this with some type of a pot spoon too. You don't have to do it with the masher, but I just do everything with it. And it's getting old, and the handle's all melted. Because you know, sometimes you get some utensils or tools that you kind of get latched onto and you like, right? So we don't want big chunks, but we don't want it to be too fine either. So allow this to continue browning. I'm going to get a spatula or a serving pot spoon and kind of stir that in a little while. And then I'm going to show you what all we're going to add to this pot to make it spicy. So our ground beef is browned sufficiently. I'm going to add cilantro that I already kind of washed. And I diced up some onions. You know, everything that I make here at the Bear Pantry Show is onions and cilantro, right? This is some spinach that I have here that's chopped up and washed already. But we're not going to add that quite yet. But we're going to add that to this recipe because that's the only way that I'm going to get the kids to have some fiber in this lasagna. So this has been just a few minutes later. And it's all brown, and I have the ingredients that I added so far. I'm going to have to start adding water to this in a little while because it's going to start frying and getting angry like I always tell you guys. In the meantime, I want to go ahead and add some peppers, and these are my little yellow peppers that I like. And you can omit those if you're feeding kids with this lasagna, but everybody in this house likes spicy stuff. Let's see if I can go over to the other pot. See how this camera will allow me to pan, see? It's pretty much boiling. So we're at the point right now where we're going to want to add the noodles. And in the meantime, the meat is still cooking. So you kind of want to be doing everything together. And let me go over to the counter and show you what Jada's doing for me. So never be afraid to enlist some help with you in the kitchen when you're getting stuff done, because the kids really wanted this lasagna. We haven't had it in a long time, because I'll be honest with you, cheese does a number on my stomach. I'm not even sure I'm going to get to eat this tonight, but I might chance it, eat a little piece. And so what she's grating right there is some pepper jack cheese. And again, we like spice, that's how we go with pepper jack. She's got some sharp cheddar over here that's already grated. And then right here, we have shredded mozzarella. And normally we would buy the mozzarella and grate it too, but you know, this was like after work, and we really wanted this lasagna, and we didn't have time to do all this, so we bought that shredded already. So let me show you what kind of noodles we're going to put in the pot. Before I get to the noodles, this pot is already kind of frying to the point where this is going to burn if I don't take care of it. Here it popped. So what we want to do at this point is add 1 to 2 cups of water. Let's start with 1 because this is a 2-cup measurement. Let's start with 1 and see where that brings us. We don't want to add too much water because we don't want it to take too long to cook. This is going to take anywhere from 35 to 45 minutes to cook to make sure that this ground beef is cooked all the way through, because our lasagna doesn't take a very long time in the oven. So we want to make sure everything on the stove top is cooked all the way through. So let's go back to our noodles. So this is the lasagna that I'm using. I use any brand that they have on sale. This happens to be this Cremette brand. And basically, this is what the noodles look like. You know, for those who don't know what lasagna look like, and you know, don't laugh when I say that, because when we first came to America, we've never had noodles before, so we didn't know what lasagna was, what rigatoni, what fettuccine. We don't know what any of those noodles were. So I'm teaching this to anybody who has never made noodles before. This is the lasagna noodle, and we want to go ahead and get this in the pot because it's boiling. And see, Jada has my cheese ready. See, I love when I have some sous chef help. Let's go back to the pot of boiling water. All right, let's take a little measurement. Oh yeah, that's gonna fit. So if your pot's wide enough, you kind of want to drop the noodles in one at a time. And I drop them kind of crossway so they don't start sticking on each other. That's a short one, it got broken. Don't worry, if they're broken, just throw them in there. And you kind of want to, I'm gonna put the whole box. I might not end up needing the whole box to make this lasagna because it's not gonna be a very big lasagna. But I'm gonna use the whole thing because I don't know when I'm gonna make this again. And so we kind of want nothing to go to waste. So I'm just tossing them in there. And they're gonna come to a boil. Like I said, we could have put salt in this pot if we wanted, but I didn't want to have to put any salt on the noodles. And I definitely am gonna have to add more water to this. And some people drop a little bit of cooking oil or virgin olive oil when they're doing this because they say that makes the noodles not stick, but I'm not sure that's true because I've tried it and I have the same trouble. And let me get a little bit more water for the pot. So you could have actually started with 3/4 of the pot of water if you wanted to, so you don't have to like add this extra water. We're gonna add that and I'm gonna put a lid on that. But in the meanwhile, let me show you that my other pot is still cooking. Because it's only been about 20 minutes into this cooking, I want to add more water. So I add another cup or so of water. Just allow this to cook, and the green stuff you're seeing in there is still just the cilantro. I haven't added in the spinach yet. I'm going to add that in about 10 minutes or so from now. And in the meanwhile, we just want to keep an eye on this pot and on the pot with the noodles because the cheese is all ready. And I guess you can spend the time by getting your lasagna pan ready. So that's 2 cups of water that we added to the pot already. It's been about half hour since we've been cooking it. So now it's time to add our washed and diced up or chopped up spinach. And then I'm going to add another cup of water to this to make it cook. And here we go with another cup. And we're just going to make this cook until the spinach is all mixed in with the meat, because this is how we're going to get some fiber in this meal. So in the meanwhile, let me show you what we're doing to our noodles. So the noodles are boiling really, really well. And I'm kind of just using my serving fork right here to just, I'm not really poking at it to stab it or anything, but just to move it around so it can remain loose inside the pot and not start getting like all clumped up together. So this has been about, I'd say 10-15 minutes that we've been boiling these noodles. We want to keep an eye on it because we don't want it to start breaking apart and stuff on us. And then when that's done, we're going to drain it in a colander. So in the meanwhile, I've got my beef going with the spinach. I've got my noodles going here, so let me search and see if I have some spaghetti sauce. So it's right about at a half hour and the noodles are done. And I'm just dumping it here in the sink. There's one left in it. I'll get that right now. Let me get my mittens off. We did a pretty good job. We didn't have a whole bunch sticking to the pan at all. So one left in there. And what I'm going to do is just run some cold water over this, just to make it stop cooking. And again, like I told you guys, I don't really know too much about making pasta. We didn't have this when we were in Belize, so this is definitely not a Belizean meal. But you can make it Belizean by adding Dutch cheese to it. Or some of you know it as redback cheese or Holland cheese. So just a little bit of that water just to cool it down. And then when the meat's ready, we're going to start assembling the lasagna. My meat is ready. I had it go for about 40 minutes. It has the spinach, the cilantro, onion. I put a little bit of salt and black pepper to my taste. And here I am opening this big old jug right here. This big old jug of spaghetti sauce that I pick up at Costco. I'm making sure it's not green inside because it's been there for a while. And we're just going to dump it in there. And we're going to dump according to how rich we want this lasagna to be. So it's a lot of sauce right there. And I know that people put egg and they put ricotta cheese and they put sourdough, they put all type of stuff in their lasagna, but honestly, when I learned how to make lasagna, nobody taught me, and I just kind of put what I thought I would like to taste inside the lasagna. So for this, make sure you pick the spaghetti sauce that you like, okay? Don't pick a brand that you don't like, because that's what this is going to pretty much taste like. So I'm going to set this aside, get my noodles on this cooling rack because everything's still hot, and I'm going to show you how to assemble the lasagna. Here I have my noodles and it's still sitting in the colander. And what I'm going to do is like pick up a piece of it like this, and I'm going to lay it in this lasagna pan. Let me move this out the way so you guys can see. So here I have this lasagna pan, and I'm going to lay another piece. I want to show it really close up. It's like a 9 by 13 pan, but I just want to show you how we're just laying it that way. And we're going to put another piece right here to cover that spot. And that's our first layer. And we're just going to get the meat sauce. We're going to spread it all over this bottom layer. And you should really get closer with your pot, but I want you guys to see what I'm doing here. So it's kind of dripping on another part of the counter. See, it's not a whole lot that we're going to be putting. At this point, you could add whatever cheese you want. If it's Dutch cheese, if it's like the sharp cheddar that I'm doing right here, and the pepper jack. My kids love the pepper jack in everything that they do because they love spice. You kind of just want to spread that over there. This is where you would put your sour cream and everything else if you were doing it all fancy, but we're doing this bare pantry style, okay? Like if we don't have a whole lot of ingredients, because right now cheese is expensive, so this would actually be like a rich lasagna. You kind of want to lay that there, and if you have to cut it, you have to cut it. Let's see. And you always want to like keep clean scissors in your kitchen, so you could cut like these type of things. So just get the best looking pieces. And I'm laying it the next way. Did you guys notice I'm not laying it the long way right now? I'm laying it the short way. And that's because it makes it a little bit easier for you to cut and serve the lasagna when it's all done. So let me see if I'll decide what to do with that. But in the meantime, let me show you the next layer of the meat sauce, and we're going to use it all this time. Let me get some kind of cloth to hold the pot with. Just kind of want to pour it there, see? It's only 1 pound of ground beef, and so it's not a whole lot of meat sauce that we're doing, but this is going to be a nice enough lasagna for my family. You kind of want to spread it around. No hard science, no hard and fast rules to this at all. Here I go with my pepper jack again. So we're just building like a casserole, which is basically what it is. Put some more of the mozzarella. And this is where you could put black olives and all type of stuff that you'd like. Those are all optional. I don't use them because I don't eat half that stuff. You know, my palate's kind of boring. And so we're almost done with our casserole that we're doing, and we're not going to have a whole lot of leftover noodles. And if you notice, I didn't cut off those edge ones like I had planned to. So anybody can make this. Even Jada can come in here and make this. Well, I shouldn't say even Jada, because Jada's a pretty good cook. But even my boys could come in here and make this. So we're just going to put the rest of the cheese. And we used a lot of cheese. I think she used almost a pound of each of them. And I have more mozzarella that I'm going to put. You always want to leave a lot of the mozzarella for the top so that it can melt. And basically when the cheese is melted, because we're going to put this in the oven, I'm having the oven preheated on 350 degrees Fahrenheit. And we're going to cook this in the oven until this cheese is all melted. And that's all it takes. I came home from work and the kids wanted this. Joe wanted hot wings, but the kids went out because I haven't done this in a while and I wanted to do this show for you. So Joe's pretty mad right now. I might have to take him out to eat. He's running the camera right now, by the way, guys. And he has a birthday coming up, I think next Friday, Columbus Day. He has a birthday coming up, so I have to kind of treat him good for the rest of this week. But in the meantime, here's the lasagna. When the oven's ready, I'm going to stick it in there. And I'm going to tell you how long it stays in there for, but till the cheese is melted. And then this is pretty much done. This didn't even take about, what, 45 minutes for me to do the whole thing after I came home from work today. And so this is a quick meal that you guys can do and change around anything you want to change around to make it yours. So Joe and I are such chickens today. Joe hates noodles. He'll only eat it far and few between. And I can't tolerate the cheese. It just really does a number on me. So I'm not going to eat the lasagna. So this is what we're going to eat. Rice and beans, stewed chicken, and plantain leftovers. So let me pan over here to my lasagna to show how beautiful it came out. The kids are just going to enjoy that. Let me get a close-up on it for you. So it's still very hot right now, so you kind of want to hold on to it with something, and you might want to wait till it cools down a little bit more, but we're in a rush because the kids want it. And all you want to do is get this type of knife, like with a serrated blade, and just kind of get in there and kind of cut it. So you want to get through and cut the noodles so you could get a piece out. This is actually looking like a big piece. That's all you want to do with the lasagna. Oh, and by the way, I had it in the oven for about 20 minutes. The oven was preheated first, and then it was about 20 minutes until I took it out. And of course, if you put this lasagna on the fridge after it's cooled down, it'll cut so easily for you. So, but this is a very hot lasagna right now. Let me get some type of a spatula, see if I can maneuver it to get it out without letting it fall apart. If it's going to fall apart, I'm going to leave it till it cools down a little bit more, but I want to show you like the first piece. So there you go. Let me move my tray out of the way, put that there, show you guys the first beautiful piece of lasagna. It's not too tall because we just did it in that 9x13 pan. It wasn't a really tall pan, but you can make it taller if you got a deeper pan and build more layers. So here's our beautiful lasagna. Look how them picnic move through the lasagna like marabunta. That's my little Creole phrase for you guys today. In Creole, picnic means kid or child. And I said, look how the kids move through the lasagna like marabunta. And marabunta is a type of ants. When I was growing up as a child, my mom used to tell us stories of when the marabunta ants would just kind of move through their pantry and you were left with nothing. They would eat everything in sight. So that's what I described with the lasagna and the kids. You know, a little while ago, Joshua came down the hallway actually licking his plate clean. When was the last time you saw somebody lick their plate clean? What an awesome compliment to the dish that I made today, right? And Jory, even though he's into his physical fitness and working out and all that stuff, he came back for seconds. You know, so that was pretty cool because he never comes back for second serving of carbs. Anyways, I want to thank you guys for watching the show. I hope that this was a quick and easy meal that you can make for your family one night soon. It only took about 45 minutes to get it all done. And I hope you tell me how it comes out. And if you try different things in it, by all means, share it with me. I'm always looking for a way to jazz it up. And of course, you know, I thank you for picking up the book, for patronizing me in every way, shape, and form that you do, even if it's just a kind comment, and for sharing the show with your friends and family, and for subscribing, friending me on Facebook, and following me on Twitter, and all that good stuff that you do to stay connected to me. Until I see you guys again, take care.